I mean, it lets me multicast too. I could stream to instead of using like StreamYard or something else. Here we go. And it looks like our new live stream URL is up. I'm gonna go ahead and copy that.
Is that me or you?
I think it's Doug.
Oh, that was okay. Oh, that okay. Now I understand why that's happening.
Oh yeah, I got text.
No. So LinkedIn side, I'm supposed to do a hard time with somebody at 2. So.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. So you've got just a minute here. Okay. Yeah, we are live, guys. We've got confirmation. Mono Miner is in the chat, as well as Dynamite Mining 3, guys. Chat's up on screen right now. Got a couple of bits of content there as well. Sorry about that. Kind of previewing a little bit of the mining-oriented content. Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for hitting that like button. Thank you for, again, if you're just coming back in, thank you for sharing the link. It does so much. Clicking all the buttons, make them explode. And yeah, we'll get back up to speed here as soon as we can. Try to propagate those links back out to Twitter if you don't mind, guys, and Reddit especially. Those are really, really big for us because we do get viewers occasionally on Reddit where we'll get retweeted or we'll get shared on Reddit, and that helps kind of blow things up just a little bit. So thank you for being supportive there. Yeah, so I think we got cut off. I don't even know what the point was at which we got cut off, but I know that YouTube really hates my VPN. 3D and I were talking about that during the downtime, during the break. But I think we're fully back up to speed now. But yeah, I think we're talking a bit more about your NFT, sort of like the man. We had a lot. That was actually a pretty in-depth conversation. Trek, you were saying there were some things that you. Like you mentioned some of the comments from the community. Was there anything that you wanted to like call out specifically that you were really appreciative of?
Okay, so I appreciate Stephen Graham on the purchase. I appreciate Pocket Change for the moderation and also for the questions. And who was the other person? Paper Chasm. Definitely appreciate what you're saying too. Well, as I was saying in regards to like the monetary incentivization aspect, one of the people that I talk with over on the LinkedIn side was bringing up the point about how for what's going on in Web3, we see more of a community-based development or pushing forward of projects, and it will cross over into the bigger market realm or the bigger industry sectors, right? Like what the crypto space or the varying communities have shown us is that you can have a collective of people who value whatever it is they value about your idea, your project, your concept, your product, and that can be the sustaining driving force that keeps it going. And I was saying on our offline break part was that like Decred is an example of that. Dogecoin is an example of that.
I think Kenneth Bozak is an example of that.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Shout outs to the bro. And the idea going in my mind into this, continuing decade, I call it hashtag the trustless decade because there's a number of things that we got to put into question, right? But whatever the okay, you know how they talk about in the business world, they'll say like, you got to be around like-minded people in order to get yourself to that next level or position, right? And so in this community thing, as far as how I see the blockchain crypto space and like the Web3 and the metaverse communities and stuff is you have overlapping people from age, demographics, location, ideals, whatever, right? Example of, right? Would I be mad if a quote Nazi supporter I probably shouldn't have said the word, but we're still going to bring it into the 4-Day Scout Club.
Yeah, right.
Bought NFT. No, because hey, guess what? Somebody else bought it. Are there motivations behind it? Well, hey, you can't be in my community because you're like, I'm not going to tell anybody you can't buy this NFT or any other NFT because you don't have the same ideals or value as me. If I honestly believe in decentralization, being uncensorable, and being inclusive. I also have an issue with the whole inclusive movement, but that's a whole nother thing.
So let's next up on the show, religion.
Bro, there's certain things that in my carnival, the way it plays out is just like, it's the opposite of what you just labeled it. But anywho, my point is that for the point that Paper Chasing brought up about like the monetary part of it, again, like I don't assume or I don't want to push this on to people to be like, well, we have this great utility idea and it's gonna speculate to $5 in like 2 years. Like, no. Our thing is we want to bring people's awareness to the historical events in this space, right? And one of the things about information and access to information is if you look at how Web 2 is set up, there is a lot of choke points. And that's for us like the bigger thing on this project, on the tech side, on the back end. And this might be a horrible marketing talking point, right? We know most people don't care about the tech stuff that makes things work on the back end, especially for how cumbersome it can be when it comes to actually implementing really more to the left decentralized technologies, right? Or disruptive technologies. But if you value it, great. We appreciate. If you don't share our, fascination or love for this side of the space, it's cool too. If you just like, the Bears, cool. We appreciate. I can't force my stuff on you. Like, this is me individually. Doug can't force his stuff on you. That's him individually. This is how we appreciate the space. We understand that everybody is having that same position. Yeah, no,
100%. Martellus jumps into the chat. Martellus, thank you for commenting here. Martellus over on Twitter says it's a thankless job. It certainly can be, but guys, I'm just going to call the community here to act again. A way that you can thank Trek and 3D is by going over to the Atomic Hub, object.com, or to OpenSea using the links that you see down in the description of this video. And it's $2. It's a $2 NFT. So you can take a look at this. You can help validate their idea. If you like it, if you don't, obviously, I think they're telling you they don't actually need your $2. That's part of why the price floor is the way it is. But if you do want to support it and you want to see them build the value of what they drop in here, 3D has the private paper generator project he's been working on. Trek has some projects that we've been talking about that have been under development for about a year, but they're very strongly content oriented. They're very strongly education oriented, and they have to do with onboarding, beginner level interests, basics. And then on the other side, they have to do with privacy, and they have to do with using decentralization to be able to communicate. So they're a little bit different. Do follow them on Twitter. I'm gonna bring our conversation away from this drop though right now. Just ask the community one last time. Do consider picking up one of these NFTs. You'll be supportive of a community. You'll be supportive of these fine gentlemen who are on the stream with me. But let's move over to market talk. And if you guys have questions about the NFT drop, obviously continue to put them into the chat, and we'll bring those up in time. But for right now, what I want to jump into is some of our market talk, and some of the news cycle. I'm going to jump back to the Crypto Fear and Greed Index right now. We've got a score of 10, guys. It has not ever been more fearful in recent history. So current score of 10, looking at the current trend line, and we're well into extreme fear. I think we're going to stay in extreme fear for a little bit of time. It would take a pretty amazing reversal in order to see, I think, a change in sentiment, which would then, I think, be sort of a virtuous cycle up, right? Building upwards. But Trek and 3D, what do you think about the current fear and greed index? What are your thoughts on that? First off, as an indicator at all, and then what do you think about the current levels of fear and greed?
I'll let you go.
I honestly think that it's like not that high. Like it should be like 20, 30 for fear right now. Like I think 10 is kind of low for the situation that happened. But at the same time, like if that's an indicator for anything, buy at the fear and sell at the greed.
Nice. Yeah. I agree with that as well. Guys, here on the show, that I talk about it as a counter indicator. Let me quickly, I'll put our disclaimer up on screen. I don't think 3D or Trek or I are trying to give you legal, financial, investing, or business advice. We're also not trying to tell you exactly what NFTs to buy, unless you really feel like buying theirs. You could pick them up. I hear they're only $2. But yeah, guys, no legal advice being offered, no investing advice being offered. But I agree with you. Largely, I think it's a counter indicator. Most people are fearful. We need to make plans. Most people are greedy. We need to pump the brakes. That's my take on that. Ravenboy Crypto says, the red screen. Yep, I had to do it to you guys. At least once an episode. Thanks for playing. It's part of the game. But Trek, what are your thoughts on the fear and greed index, man?
I'm curious on the back end as to what the data points are they're using and like how the algos are marking in for a margin of error. So like if we go, how many of these Twitter posts that go out are original organic Twitter posts versus how many times a thing gets retweeted with a subset of how many times does it get retweeted with a comment on it versus the original post that gets how many comments. And then when you start getting into like semantics on like, is this word or this word value, is it a positive or negative? And do certain words have a higher or lower value? Like that's how my head works on how I think of stuff like that.
And I think that's really, really smart. I mean, the entire thing could be a false flag, right? I mean, the way that they measure it could be inherently flawed. I'm with you, and I think that's a very valuable perspective to add to it. I mean, I don't ever really think about it that way, but now that you mention it, I'm thinking about it like, oh yeah, the whole thing could just be like BS. Yeah.
So I'll say this one, like, what is that? 2018 and 19. I was doing writing for a exchange early on. And that was one of the things that I started understanding about on the back end of how placement worked for certain content, certain stories, where we would have like the official thing that I wrote, and then there would be like the ghost, the writing stuff that I did that got pushed out to a platform. And then there was some other stuff like where I started meeting other more techie people, like data analyst people, and they would talk about like how you had the algos watching social media, and then there were other algos that would watch the algos that were watching social media and collecting the data points. and then when you throw in the bots on it, like this is literally what high frequency trade works off of, where it's algorithms watching other algorithms, watching what real people are doing.
Right. Yeah. And all the algorithms stacked on top of algorithms are all just designed to liquidate the real people. Right.
If you did not know, and I'm assuming most of your viewers understand this because y'all are more on the mining and technical side. If you're new to this realm, damn near every, and I'm gonna put it like 99999 centralized exchange counter trades you as a person on that platform. So
yep.
The dirty shame. He's in on it. Trek's like, I may or may not have benefited from this once or twice.
Listen,
I kid. No, I kid. But so this is what I mean on Mind Your Biz. We try to promote the use of dexes, but dexes are not, they're actually not immune to this either. You have like 1-inch dex, for example, now that allows for the limit orders. And so you're not just stuck with market order. You're not just stuck with spot pricing, right? Even on these decentralized exchanges and these AMMs. I mean, it's dangerous, right? Where there's an incentive, where there's a profit motive, you're going to have people who have higher resources and who feel like they're more motivated to get dirtier with automation. So yeah, I mean, I love that you're bringing that up with just the fear and greed index. Like, how do we even measure what it is that we're doing in markets? And I think, you're not wrong. I didn't really thought about it that way, but you're not wrong. Some false positives could absolutely be thrown out by tools like this to make people feel a certain way. For my part, I just use it as a simple binary, like counter indicator, where if they say people are fearful for whatever reason, I'm just like, okay, take it with a grain of salt and probably lean the other direction in general. And when they say people are greedy, take it with a grain of salt and probably lean the other direction, but don't get too excited either way. Like, don't ever go to the extremes, because that's what they want you to do so they can counter trade you, like you're saying.
Right. And then here's like another interesting thing about the DEXs that I don't think a lot of the newer folks coming in understand. And that the DEXs are just the fancy front end presentation to the smart contract environment on the back end, right? And so what was that? Who was that a couple, like 2 months ago or a month ago or something? They took something off of the front end and everyone was like, oh my goodness, they delisted this token. And it's like, no.
It was Uniswap.
Right. If you look at the smart contract level of it, people are still doing things. I'll give you another example of something. Who is it? Veritasium. Veritasium is not listed on any of the major centralized exchanges. And then even if you look at the Ethereum, the DEXs that are Ethereum based, you don't see it there. It's one or two that you kind of have to dig in to kind of find it. But if you know how to operate at the first layer level of the smart contract or the blockchain itself, you know that you can go back and forth in and out of Veritasium all day. Most folks don't understand it because most of the folks coming in now don't, they want the more convenient, nice package GUI of I click, I swipe on my phone, it works. And this is something as in a conversation that me and 3D have been having for a bit now about one of the trends that I see now appearing in the crypto space is that, and this is like a technology thing in general, right? When you look at history of human improvement and stuff, is that we favor towards convenience, but convenience also comes with a trade-off cost of your actual functionality of understanding or ability to use the first layer technology, the base layer technology. It comes at a cost of functionality. The iPhone is the perfect example in comparison to a Droid-based phone. This is something me and you've talked about for privacy and for like how you use certain apps and things like that. And it's happening more and more in the space. Arguably, Ethereum, Solana, and a couple of other players are at the forefront of moving people further up the development based on convenience factor, but they're also taking away their actual hands-on functionality at the base layer of the technology. So there's certain things to me where it can be advantageous if you don't care and you just are good with, I'm gonna say, being spoon-fed.
Okay.
Versus, yeah. Like, I want to be able to manipulate it myself. I want to have, or at least have the option to do it myself. That's one of the things I see going on right now.
Got it. So you're seeing then like more of this kind of like bifurcation, more towards convenience, and then on the opposite extreme, more towards that really like DIY, nitty gritty, engaging with smart contracts? Or are you seeing something kind of in the middle where it's a little bit more DIY and a little less like just, one button, smash, buy, market order, Don't make me think. Just go hit the smart contract.
The market development, and when I say the market development, I'm talking about the folks who are on the end users. The folks coming in now have a different mindset from the folks who were class of 2017. Definitely different than the class of 2013, and I would say up to like 2016. The folks in this decade right now, they are a lot more heavy on the FOMO financial incentive side versus those of us in the first decade were more about the ideals and the technology side, right? And if you've been in long enough, there's certain parts where, or certain events that you've experienced where you got to have either a growing appreciation of the technical side, or you were more solidified in your appreciation of how things work on the technical back end, as opposed to just, wait, did price go up? Did I get to, take the gains and walk away? And when you look at what's going on with X amount of these projects now, especially the smart contract enabled things, they're pushing more on convenience and taking functionality away. So you're going up for convenience, but it's the opposite. It's the triangle, right? The base at the bottom is wider functionality, harder convenience factor, or more friction, as some people would convey it. But the higher up you go up the triangle, you have more convenience, but less actual functionality.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so I got Paper Chase and bringing in a really great quote here. I'm going to throw it up on screen while we jump back into some of the content here. Says, got to keep, he corrected it, got to keep crypto like a money on a string solution, or the learning curve discourages people from participation on the level desired. So I think that Paper Chasen is suggesting that there needs to be kind of, that there always has to be that hook, right? Of like, hey, there could be the potential for financial increase or yield. And whatever level you're talking to them about. I think I agree with that on some level. I think when it comes to the concerns of decentralization and privacy and such, I think it's a lot more difficult to do that because it's a lot more difficult when you're trying to tell somebody like, oh yeah, this is really good, like privacy technology. I don't know that that's an inherently compatible message with also telling them, yeah, there's a profit motive. There might not be a profit motive to staying private. There might not at all. Like, and it is very like much more purely ideological. So, but within crypto, yeah, that I think broadly, like you were saying, this new class of crypto investor, I think that's like everything is always incentivized all the time. And that's what they're starting to equate with Web3, is that it's not just ownership of data and ownership rights and maybe the potential for financial increase, but always sort of like, oh yeah, they're probably financial increase first. Like that's the carrot being dangled on the string or whatever.
3D.
I was like the newer people nowadays don't know what Web3 really is, and it's like I've seen so many people go, well, I can't use my NFT on OpenSea, or I can't use my NFT on Rarible, and it's like, yes you can, yes you can, just spin up a node and go ahead and sell that real quick P2P, but like, yeah, like I don't know, it's difficult to say. Like I mine all the time. Like I'm mining crypto right now. I got my miners running, and it's like you don't really have to worry about money on a string or nothing like that, because if you're mining, then you're always producing your value back in, no matter what you do. And then like they are like for like Wax, for example, like you can use the block explorer on Wax and interact with the contracts directly. So we're starting to see some chains go, well, we need to put in this easy to use with the functionality part. So there are some chains starting to realize that there comes a benefit to being able to do that. But for the most part, most people, that's what they're looking at. They're all like, oh, financial earn. And it's like at the same time, though, if you was just mining, there's your financial earn.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that note. Let's move on from that into some of our market talk. And yeah, guys, thumbs up for 3D and
Ravencoin is doing.
Yeah, right. Thumbs up for 3D and Trek in the chat, guys. It's been awesome having some additional commentators today, and also having them be creators and builders in the space, working on something that I think is going to be important, right, in the near future. I can't wait to see the next iteration of that. But we got right now from Cointelegraph a bit of what I think this kind of stuff sways the market sentiment. But we've got an article coming out of Cointelegraph that's linked down in the description, says by Yashu, saying, will this time be different? Bitcoin eyes drop to 35K as Bitcoin price paints a death cross. Right, if you're familiar with that 50 and 200-day EMA, right, exponential moving average term, right, with your death cross and your golden cross. People are looking at that death cross and thinking, oh no, this definitely signals maybe 35K. Or maybe Peter Schiff was right. Maybe we're going to see 30K or whatever. Right. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think as far as this being? Is this FUD? Is this FOMO? What do you think this is doing to markets? Do you think this is a self-fulfilling prophecy for outlets to write stuff like this? Like, what are your thoughts on all this kind of stuff?
Well, the last time we saw a death cross on Bitcoin, it didn't take very long after that for it to go back up.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it was really fast.
All right. So I got 3 minutes until I got to jump into a meeting, but I will say this. When it comes to like TA on this level, it only tells you past events, right? It makes correlation between past activities, past transactions. If we have gotten no lesson learned from how the community moves and like the influencing external things on people's buying and all that fun stuff, or their selling, we know that you can't predict the forward parts of the forward transactions. You can take guesses, but TA only works past stuff. It doesn't go forward. You can make projections, but until the actual event or events happen, like it's a guess. It's a shot in the dark. Like, hey, we'll see how it goes. And for those of us who are, let's say, not as TA or FA heavy, and we just go, all right, we're in it for the long run. The tech behind it or whatever makes sense. Then, our time horizon isn't, oh, how is this going to look in the next 6 months? How is this going to moon in 2 weeks? I'm looking at like 5 years, 10 years. It's a different mindset for folks who are looking at it from that aspect versus the folks who are like, well, why isn't it at 100K yet? Like,
because we haven't put laser eyes back on, Trek. You got to put your laser eyes back on and keep them on.
So like I appreciate the people who can deal with that, because I also think that also plays a lot more into how the poking and prodding of your mental state and how you're looking at this space in a monetary lens, right? Versus the, hey, I know it's going to do what it's going to do, and the longer I stay in, just like how like dollar cost averaging works to be a arguably more statistical advantageous way to move in the space versus, well, let me sit here for 12 hours in a day looking at charts and graphs and making lines and stuff. Like it to me, that's too much playing into the mental state game, and I don't have the energy or time for it.
Right. So, hey guys, appreciate you putting up with it. It's Saturday morning, right? So we got kids who are hanging out next to the office. It's great. ACU throws a comment in, says, I spent 5 years learning crypto with both of your guests, both amazing people who just want to help the space. Love both of them like brothers. Hey, I appreciate that. Guys,
talk, bro. ACU, we gotta talk, because it's been a bit that, like, his story of how he got into the space,
it's original.
When I tell you there are some very unique stories of how people got into the space, his is like, I think, my top 5 of the stories that I personally had people explain to me what brought them into this space.
That's awesome, man. Speaking of, we got
good with you, bro.
I appreciate that, man. Speaking of which, I didn't expect to see him, but he turned up. He turned up like
Oh, what's going on, Gino?
we got
And he does
Smiley.
it right when I have to go. He's another
Right.
dude too. He's another good dude. He's another really highly educated dude in the space. Um, I appreciate the posts that he puts out because there are things that aren't on my radar that I'll see through one of his tweet posts, and I'm just like, oh wow, all right, I didn't know that. You know, and
Yeah.
yeah, so he's another good dude too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely agree. I know you gotta head out, Trek, for the other engagement that you have. You have any final words for the audience that's here live right now? Came to see you and 3D.
I just want to say thank you for allowing us to come on 3D. Thank you for collabing with me on this idea, and we'll see where it goes. I would argue, hopefully, we have some kind of Doge effect. As far as like people who get it and they're like, all right, yeah, this sounds cool. Let's like see where we can get this to grow and push. And for everybody else out there, again, this isn't a money thing. This is a more of a noble, altruistic kind of endeavor of Custodial L's talking about some of the shenanigans, let's say, of some of these bigger name companies in the space, and we're capturing it in a digital capacity using Web3, using IPFS, using NFT technology and blockchain stuff. And it's really at the low right now. Like I think it's under $2 right now on Polygon. So if it does something, cool. If it doesn't, we learned some new things about decentralization and integrating those types of technologies together and fail forward.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here. I know we got to let you go. 3D, are you going to stay on for some more market chat, or do you have to head out as well?
Oh yeah,
okay.
I'm ready for the market chat.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. Thank y'all again. Everyone have a productive over busy day. All right, y'all.
Yeah.
All right. See you, Trek.
Thank you, Trek.
We'll catch up later. Oh, Seth, I got to catch up with you later too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll be good. Awesome. Oh my gosh, Jitsi, why did? Okay, side by side it is. That's actually not that bad now that I'm looking at it. On the stream, that looks pretty good. I thought it was going to be a little more difficult to work with, but that works for sure. All right, guys, so let's take a look at some of our other market chat. Your chat is on, or market talk. Your chat is on screen, so do be on your best behavior or worst behavior, whatever's good. Make sure at least it's entertaining. Keep it interesting, guys. But Death Cross, 3D, I'm kind of with you. Looking at that same chart. Like when you zoom out just a little bit, they've got, gosh, what is this, the daily? Let's just double check to see what they have marked here. I don't even know if it's telling us what the time frame is. Yep, 1 day chart. It was, it didn't take too long before we saw a correction. And, yeah, not too long before a correction. And then it moved towards that death cross again, but got rejected. And here we are back at a death cross. I mean, there's no guarantee that we're definitely going to continue downward. It has looked like it's been bouncing downward. We've been using the 1 day chart for a while. So we'll take a look. Raven Boy Crypto says, I do what I want. Yes. Now, tell me that you do what you want. I kid. Be free, Raven Boy Crypto. Be free. All right. But I agree with you largely. We could see a correction and see it pull back up before too long. On Bitcoinist.com, we've got this article about the Bored Ape Yacht Club and how it's been getting traction over on OpenSea. This is I wouldn't call it the polar opposite of what 3D and Trek are working on, but it is kind of much more oriented towards being a collector item and having that speculative aspect really tightly, closely ingrained at its core, right? People are very much using this for investment purposes over time. And we're seeing that really pop off over on OpenSea. 3D, what do you think about that, man? I mean, I know that's not totally your scene. Like, I ran into Mike Salvi in Miami not long ago, Ken Bosak and the whole crew, where there's a lot more grassroots in the crew than what we see over here with Bored Ape Yacht Club. What do you think about this kind of thing? Does this bode well for your project? Is it really at odds? Do they actually complement each other? What's your take on this, man?
Stuff like Bored Ape Yacht Club actually kind of hurts people, like stuff like projects like ours, because then everybody goes, well, they just expect monetary return on things. And if you go look at the actual Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, very few of them have had monetary return, and many of them get resold at a lower price than when it was purchased at 3 or 4 months later. And the only ones that they ever bring onto attention are the ones that sold for tons of money, and that's it. And they don't ever go, hell, let's look at all the Bored Ape clubs that just been terrible at selling, or all the ones that have been on the market for a long time for secondary and haven't sold. And they do just this kind of stuff I see is like, it almost feels like a promotional piece, like someone paid to have it written or something like that.
Got it. Yeah, I think that the vocabulary term that I picked up today from Trek was capital flight, and I think that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, man. I think I'm seeing the rest of the markets kind of in trouble, and Bored Ape Yacht Club is a very easy way to move 7 figures of value in one transaction in an NFT. So you kind of got that ability to just say like, all right, I need to divest some other Ethereum holdings or some other stablecoin holdings or something else that I already own, and I can ladder trade into this, and I can manipulate what I need to right size my portfolio. I think that's what I'm seeing when I see headlines like this, 3D, and it kind of has me a little bit concerned. I didn't feel that way before about it, but over time, kind of observing that ladder trading is a thing, and especially all the insider deals and stuff, where they're a bit like OTC or private deals. They might not, and I don't mean like in the like peer-to-peer perspective, right? Where it's like, oh, we used a private RPC or something. Like, I mean, like just 2 people in a back room doing a handshake deal. Like, okay, will you definitely bid this much on my NFT? Oh, cool, because then I'll do this, and we've got a DAO formed, and within our secret cabal DAO, we're gonna do this thing and like ladder trade things up. I think even some good actors are trying to protect their friends by doing some of these things. But then you've got these big examples of projects, like you're saying, that the only thing they're doing is trying to get number to go up at any cost, no matter who they step on. I think that I've come to very much not be a fan of that. Anyway, I appreciate that you just laying it out there, that you think this could be very harmful to more grassroots projects. But as far as this bringing interest into the space, what do you think this is going to do to new investors when they come in, or new people or new artists, I guess? What do you think about the knock-on effects for new artists and new investors in NFTs?
I think a lot of the newer ones coming in, they're just getting confused and they're being FOMO'd into everything. You know what I mean? Like they're not like doing research. They're not learning anything. They're just seeing like articles like this where money, it's always going up. They're going up. And if you notice, even in their article, the chart for the Bat Club, it's just like up, down, up, down, up, down, just like everything else. But they're all being told up to the right, up to the right. It's all we see. And they're going to get, in a lot of ways, hurt from it.
Got it. Yeah. No, I definitely believe that. There are a couple of recording artists that are kind of like notable names in the space. Obviously, Busta Rhymes kind of came into the crypto space. I mean, it feels like it's only been a few days. It's that weird like time warp effect of crypto, right? It hasn't been a few days, but it hasn't been more than a few months that Busta Rhymes has been involved in crypto now and talking about NFTs. And I think that his entry into NFTs brought kind of another old school rap artist, Nas. Not Lil Nas X. That guy's trading on Nas's name, by the way. Nas, N-A-S. Yeah, but Nas is apparently getting into the space now, and I worry for the guy actually, because I feel like maybe he's kind of missed the best opportunity to get involved. These are established artists too, right? Like people who independently, they used to sell a lot of records. They made a living off of what they did in that space. So if that could be the case for somebody like that's already established, I can't imagine what it would be like for digital artists who are just trying to get discovered for the first time.
Yeah. It's like, I know Snoop Dogg is just entered, and he entered in a bad way too. Like, I believe he bought it was either a back or a crypto punk or something like that. Like he bought a high-end NFT at a high-end price as one of his first NFTs. And that kind of stuff scares me. I mean, yeah, he can afford it or whatever, but if he probably would have done a bit more research, he could have got a different version of whatever he got at a lower price. But Busta Rhymes, I've been trying my best to get him to communicate with me, but still I keep a close eye on him because he's one of my favorite rap artists from the back in the day. And when he started getting into NFTs and stuff and just cryptocurrency as a whole, like, you know, I was one of the people out that I DM him probably every day, like, yeah, do this, do this, do that. And he pays attention to stuff, even though he don't respond. He seems to be paying attention. He seems to be doing stuff right. You know, he didn't jump into buying the high end NFTs. He actually started buying NFTs from people who followed him. You know, so like he's a really great example of someone who's definitely doing research, definitely figuring stuff out, and he's actually asking the community, "Hey, I need to learn more about this. Help me." And tons of people are really helping him out.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, he's been really open to it too. I mean, like Shrek was saying before, failing forward. Like if you're afraid of failure, good luck. Good luck with the next thing. It could be that you know, could be like, and it's not like not everybody can afford to make expensive mistakes. But if you're afraid of failure in this space, you're not going to learn as fast as you could. So yeah, that's something that seems to be kind of true of like the example you just mentioned, right? Where it's like, hey, I'm open. Teach me. I'm going to make dumb mistakes, but help me do better faster. Let me jump out of the way and take a look at some of our next content here. We've got another article coming out of this one from Crypto Globe talking about how an ex-Goldman Sachs exec is predicting that the crypto market cap will reach somewhere in the order of $250 trillion within a decade. And I know we're just looking at a headlines high level here because we could take a look at what this other journalist has written, but I think that some of the stuff is they're designed to be sound bites, so we can comment on them just from the high level overview. What do you think about $250 trillion in cryptocurrencies in a decade? Does it sound too good to be true, or I don't know. I mean, or is that? Do you think we're at that point where it's like, you know, slowly then suddenly, like we'll see the knee of the curve and things just kind of pop off, and we go 100x the total market cap in whatever 5 years?
Look at Venezuela. Remember how Venezuela printed themselves out of wealth that caused $0? It's going to be something like that. As people, you know, as we go on, the value of all the dollars or whatever is going down, which only allows the market cap to go up. You know, and then yeah, definitely we see more and more people jumping into cryptocurrency. We have I remember when there was like 3 cryptocurrencies in 2003, 4, and 5. You only had 3 options, you know, Bean Coin or Hashcash or something similar. And now there's over what 2,000. So that's definitely going to be
Coin market.
Going to be the difference.
Yeah, CoinGecko is listing over 8,000, and those are just projects that they are willing to list.
Yeah,
it's insane,
so
man.
The fact that we have more and more and more of them, pretty soon you'll have so many where there's anything you can jump money onto, and that's where that increase of total market cap is going to be at.
Okay, so now I'm kind of curious. What do you think about the prospect of like personal tokens and maybe even like personal NFTs and stuff? This potential prediction of like whatever a quarter quadrillion dollar market cap in crypto. How much of that do you think is going to become like more personalized currencies or local currencies as opposed to like the stable, it's not stable, but the stores of value like Bitcoin and Ethereum and the utility tokens like Ethereum and BNB and Matic and stuff? What do you think is going to happen to local currencies? Like whatever, you visit Miami and they're trying to push Miami coin right now. Don't know how well it's going to work, but what do you think about that in the future? Do you think there's the possibility that something like a Miami coin or a Florida coin could be a huge chunk of this market cap? You know, Germany coin or France coin, like a new franc?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like in 2013, I did an article about how the economy of cryptocurrency is going to go to where everybody has their own coin and they swap to get other people's coins to use it. And this will allow everybody to develop their own wealth, you know, naturally. And then, you know, as they want to buy something from Miami or something, yeah, they're going to swap their coin for another coin, which increases the value of both coins. And it's definitely going to be a thing because right now there's a lot of people already doing it. They're just not naming it after themselves or anything. They're just, you know, like branding instead. But as you have more and more coins, you got to get to a point of that, just because there's nothing else left to do.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, I appreciate that take. Raven Boy Crypto is chiming in and saying, I wonder if they're including CBDCs in their projection. And yeah,
Probably.
and
Probably.
and Theft says lol. That I think he was laughing at the 2,000 coin numbers. He said those are 2018 numbers. He's not wrong. It was creepy in 2018 when it was like over 2,000 coins that were listed, and now like my mind was blown 3D when I went to CoinGecko the other day, and because somebody asked me to look up a project and it was in number like 8,200 in the stacked ranking, and I was like, dude, they actually have a stacked ranking that goes that far, because there's some coins that like don't even have a ranking, they're just listed there. So I'm like, dude, you got over 8,000 coins that are listed and in a stacked ranking according to market cap and according to like coin supply and everything else. How many coins are out there that you don't have listed? You know, it's got to be at least double or triple, maybe 10x. It's a lot, obviously. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's moving too fast, man. It's moving too fast. But CBDCs, what do you think? Do you think that's probably part of the projection? I didn't take a look at that. We can.
I do think it is probably part of the projection, especially since China's digital currency, crypto, already exists. It's already being used, and they're getting ready to off-roll it from participant only to everybody, and China got to use it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that alone would do it for sure. Yeah, 100%. It wouldn't take long for us to get up to a well, 10x where we are now. Like, yeah. So double-digit trillions. Just having China involved at that level. It's a fair point, man. And that could be, I think, China plus one other, like sort of international superpower would probably do it to kick off that hyperbolic adoption curve.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but our Federal Reserve has a digital currency that they have not off-ramped or allowed people to start buying. And I'm just waiting for them to basically trying to on-ramp all their businesses onto that. It's like to get rid of USD for their Federal Reserve coin. And that's going to be another one of those like big giant booms in the market cap value.
Yeah. I mean, as far as what you've heard about that so far, what's the blockchain that they're when I was first involved with it, they were talking about copying Bitcoin, but they actually end up copying Litecoin. And so they're running basically their own chain. And they're just trying to get it set up right now to where it's as least cost to mine it as possible. And they don't want anybody else to be able to mine it. They're trying to get it mining locked so only they can mine it. It's kind of confusing and crazy, but if they get this done, this is going to be a change for like the difference between like regular cryptos and then corporate cryptos. You know, imagine a cryptocurrency that's mineable, but only they can mine it. You can't mine it. That's crazy, right? Yeah, so I think there have been a couple of attempts at this. When Kodak was working on theirs, they went as far as provisioning an ASIC miner for it that was like a SHA-256 ASIC miner, just like Bitcoin. But I think that it was some kind of like IP locks or some kind of whitelisting program where you had to register to be a part of the pools and it was only pooled mining or something along those lines. I think that there have been attempts at this sort of thing in the past that have been sort of like corporate styled, but I don't know if it's been a state level actor yet. And I don't know, man. I've got mixed feelings on that on some level because I would worry about there being such tight control over a blockchain that it's like, why are you guys even doing it? You know, like, what's the point of it being a public ledger that isn't also permissionless, if that makes sense? A little bit. I don't know. But CBDCs, that's cool to hear that may be something that's part of this figure here. And that there could be something in the works there. So apparently that was, Raoul Paul who debuted that piece of news. Let's take a look at the last news bit that we had before we jump into markets, guys, and different kind of market talk. We got from newsbtc.com. They ask the question, is Norton 360 mining Ethereum in your computer? If it is, I think a 15% cut. 3D, do you use Norton? Do you know anybody in your circle of friends that uses Norton?
No.
I don't either. I mean, they didn't have to do this for me to not trust them. So,
right.
The fact that it's already come to this level is like, okay, yeah, we already knew you weren't trustworthy. So, I mean, for anybody who's watching, maybe this is not legal, financial, or business advice, but it is a different kind of advice. Just don't use Norton. It's that simple. Don't use Norton, and you won't have to deal with them because if they can do this, what else are they doing with your personally identifying information on your system when they scan all your files? Who knows?
Well, the other thing that worries me about Norton is they only allow withdrawals to Coinbase, which not everybody has that. Like, I don't have a Coinbase, and it's like that's just more problems wrapped up inside of everything they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of corporate state-controlled cryptos, man, I'm not a fan of Coinbase. It used to be just kind of like a passive distrust, but then when they were instrumental in getting Jay Stark into the custody of police in Germany, nah, man, I'm done. I'm done with Coinbase, and I'm very comfortable just openly saying Coinbase is an evil company. They assisted the police in the capture and which ultimately led to the death of somebody who was just sharing files online. Now, I'm done.
That's why, like, our hats, we have the Nazi hat with Coinbase.
Wow. That's edgy, man. I got to see that. Well, we'll see that at a trade show soon, I'm sure. But so yeah, Norton 360. Do I think that Norton 360 is necessarily like? Sure, it's like we could call it like the Coinbase of antivirus software on people's computers and stuff. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother reading all the way through this. Anybody who's seriously using Norton and thinks that they're safe, it's like people. I had a friend who works in InfoSec, and he was like, well, "Okay, Seth, I need you to prove to me why I shouldn't be using NordVPN." Like, dude, if you really think that you have to justify to me your use of NordVPN and you want me to prove to you, if you can't read what's already on the record, if you can't already figure out that it's a commercial VPN that's just really not that good for you, I'm not going to convince you, I don't think. So Norton is one of those style services. It's, yeah. If you really think you can justify your use of it, it's possible you're not going to make it. So... But Dynamite Mining says, smash the like for being real. Hey, I appreciate that. Paper Chasen jumps in and says, my city is where Kodak is. They tried to lock miners out and realized it was going to be a fail, then elected to go the medicinal marijuana route. Yeah, that's funny, man. These markets are insane, dude. And yeah, we could make a movie about this stuff and people wouldn't believe it, about some of the stuff that's happened in the crypto sphere. But let's move over to txstreet.com, guys. This is our real-time visualization, and I apologize that I'm not able to do it. I'm not doing a screen share at the same time with U3D, but we're over on txstreet.com. We got the Ethereum versus BTC real-time visualizations up. They still got the Christmas theme. It's fun. But right now we've got a median contract fee on Ethereum of $82.34. It's just insane, guys. So that's if you want to execute any kind of a smart contract that's even remotely complex, sending tokens or doing swaps on various different platforms, or committing liquidity or removing liquidity, depending on the smart contract that you've got enabled there. That's the cost of doing business right now. You got it. I mean, it's nearly a full hundo to just do anything on Ethereum right now.
Other than like just sending Ethereum.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's actually really cheap to send Ethereum on Ethereum. It can be.
TXStreet.com right now is showing a median ETH transfer fee of about $13.71. Obviously, if there are two kinds of people on Ethereum: those who know how to edit their gas fees and still get them successfully pushed through, and then retail, right? Everybody else, like 80% of the market. And that's why these fees stay at like $13 plus, like $15-20. But yeah, so 3D, what are some of your hot takes there? What are some of your tips for people in the audience who don't want to spend, over $10 just to send Ether?
There is other things than Ethereum. There's way more chains. Also, like when you're using your MetaMask, just click that button on below like when you have the transaction popped up, there's a little button down below where it says adjust your fee. And when you adjust your fee, don't be afraid if it says it's going to take 30 minutes to transfer, because 9 times out of 10, it won't.
Got it. Okay. So there you go. Just like move forward boldly, fearlessly. And hold on a second. I'm just realizing I've got a bit of an issue if I navigate away too quickly from Jitsi. Thanks for being patient with us, guys, on this stream. I'm trying out a different workflow so we can have a better visualization while we have guests on stream. I don't like using any of the centralized services or commercial services like StreamYard. It's convenient, sure, but Jitsi is encrypted end-to-end, and OBS is open source. I control this entire live stream that you guys see right now, and I understand exactly who has worked on this code. I don't. So thanks for being patient. I don't trust. I verify. But moving back into the visualization, guys, looks like our average cost right now, the median fee for sending Bitcoin is 59 cents. Again, you should be able to edit your fees from within wallets like Electrum on the desktop. And there's some others as well that'll let you edit that fee. We endorse Samurai Wallet as the best privacy-oriented Bitcoin wallet you can run on a de-Googled device. It's open source and it does not require Google Play services. So you can even run it in an emulator if you wanted to on a Linux machine. So if you want to have Samurai and that Whirlpool mixing on a desktop, there's a way to do that. But you can edit your fees there. So even if you don't like the sound of 59-cent transactions on Bitcoin, the power is in your hands. You can opt for slightly lower fees. But I don't know. As far as mixing on Samurai Wallet, 3D, is that a direction that you go? Do you wind up mixing Bitcoin when you get it, or do you wind up just like going another route to achieve privacy?
I don't normally mix. I almost always hold Bitcoin I receive for at least 4 years before I use it. That's my biggest goal there, because then when you start using the Bitcoin after 4 years, a lot of places are not going to look that far back in the chain to see where it came from. Nice.
Okay, cool. That's a great strategy. And then you don't lose a single Satoshi. That's great, man. Awesome. Well, there you go. There you go, guys. Another awesome tidbit from 3D on how to maintain some of your privacy. Taking a look at our Bitcoin chart real fast, guys. Going to pop open this chart. It's available in the links down in the show notes. Scroll on over, and it looks like our current descending triangle, it hasn't broken to the upside yet, and we are below a current price at 40,000. We are below into this green range. If we continue down this trend, and if we do successfully see that death cross successfully happen, right now we've got a different moving average up there that I think correlates to our MACD down below. We got a different pair of moving averages, slightly different there. So it's not your 50 and 200-day EMA, but we do have a death cross happening right now on the 50 and 200-day EMA. That could correct. Right now, we haven't crossed over with the two moving averages we have that we've opted for on this chart. So I don't know. We could see a correction. Maybe we don't. But as it is right now, we're almost back into that dollar cost average range, or that value average range that for me, I'm really comfortable with. That's why we have these ranges defined. Again, shout out to CTO Larson for identifying that we could just take a look at zoom out and look at macro ranges across this entire market. And so that kind of helped to educate me as to a different way that would make more sense for me. A very, very simple way to look at historical data. And what I'm seeing right now between the green, yellow, red, and then violet ranges are just these areas that kind of are approaching something that's kind of like white. After you get past red, right, where it's like fire, danger, I wanted to go through shades of heat, right? So we got red, then ultraviolet. Well, if we ever move towards code blue, it's like we're getting a blue flame. It's really hot. And then white heat above that. If we ever do start moving back towards that 100K Bitcoin that everybody seems to believe we're definitely going to hit, that'll probably be that white range. That's like white hot. Careful, don't touch. You don't need a DCA here because we will correct after we get there. But right now, we're almost back in that green range that for me is kind of like, I'm comfortable dollar cost average. I'm comfortable putting my own fiat into Bitcoin at that range until we get to there. You know what I'm a lot more comfortable doing? I'm a lot more comfortable selling off used mining gear, selling off used stuff that I have lying around, doing retail arbitrage, doing all kinds of other businesses, selling merch, selling consulting services, doing whatever else in terms of my day-to-day business, and accepting payment in Bitcoin in these other ranges. That, for me, no skin off my nose. I'll let it ride. Some of it, I'll let it ride. But putting my own dollars, converting fiat money into Bitcoin, I'm probably not going to do that until we get to that green range and we sustain it for just a little bit of time. But 3D, I don't know. You may have a different approach on things. You may have a different strategy. what do you think about kind of the markets right now and the current price of Bitcoin and its current movement?
I think the price of Bitcoin is still fairly cheap right now. Especially, I remember when Bitcoin was zero, and I used Bitcoin when it was at zero, and it being this high up is just like astronomical for me. I remember when it hit 50,000 the first time, I had to take like 2 days off and just like had to think about that. It's like, it's just kind of difficult. But like, I don't even have fiat or anything. I always swap coins from coins. And when I see dips like this, I see that as a huge opportunity. Like, allows me to take a lot of my lower end mining coins and swap them into Bitcoin, knowing that within 4 years it's going to be definitely up from now. And that's where I see the benefits at. With my strategy, it's going from coin to coin.
Got it. It sounds like then you're looking at sort of like the typical like altcoin speculative mining, but flipping directly into Bitcoin. These are all hyphenated as a DCA strategy. Then
Yep,
that's cool, man. I respect that. And I know we got some members of the community who are big into GPU mining, but who are like Bitcoin maximalists. And like, that's all they do is like, nope, just flip profits into Bitcoin. Don't care about the price. It's like a DCA basically, but I'm acquiring at whatever the price of, Ethereum mining or Flux mining or Ravencoin mining is. Yeah, or whatever. The one area where like I take exception to that is when people say like, I'm going to use my Monero mining rigs and flip it into Bitcoin. I'm like, why not just leave it in Monero, man? Like,
it's like, I like to say Monero is the stable coin to Bitcoin. And especially when you look at Monero at the price of Bitcoin, it goes almost in the exact same direction as Bitcoin and everything. And so you're right. Like, if you just keep it in Monero, you're not losing anything. You're not gaining anything if you had swapped it into Bitcoin, because they go almost the exact same rates, especially since they have the whole swappable ability. Like, you could just hot swap your Monero to Bitcoin. Like, you don't even need to like go through a swap program or anything. You can atomic swap it and other different types of swaps to it. But yeah, you end up not gaining or losing anything. I spent 3 years going from Monero to Bitcoin, and then I was like, at the end of the 3 years, I was like, wait a minute, I'm at the exact same wealth pattern. I'm at the exact same amount of wealth if I just kept it in Monero.
Right. That's hilarious, man. Yeah. So for anybody in the audience who's not aware, we covered the initial white paper before this was rolled out into mainnet on Monero here on Mine Your Biz. And then I think we might still host that on the website. I'll double check to make a look, or to confirm that rather, and see if there's a link to the white paper that originally outlined atomic swaps between Monero and Bitcoin. For anybody who doesn't know what that means, it just means it's totally permissionless. It's just peer-to-peer. It's a bit like doing a transaction between two Bitcoin users or between two Monero users. But in this case, it's a transaction between a Bitcoin and a Monero user, where you can swap directly the value of Monero and Bitcoin only between those two chains. No third parties required, no smart contracts on a separate platform required. It's just between those two chains. And that became a reality. Gosh, again, it's like I'm in the time warp. It's really, I think it's been only about a half a year, just under a year that's been on mainnet now. But it's pretty amazing. So to your point, like, we were looking forward to that when the white paper dropped, but here it is, a reality. I'm with you. I think if you've got Monero, just hold it for a while. You're gonna have private wealth creation and accrual in that space. And if you really need to use Bitcoin, just atomic swap it later.
Yeah.
Let me grab some other stuff from our content lineup. We got DeFi Llama with the TVL across all chains. I'm going to throw it on screen, as well as you guys chat. Yankee is in the chat saying hello. Well, hello there, Yankee. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being in. And guys, thank you again. Just as a reminder, when we're live, it does really help when you smash all the buttons. Really, clicking all those buttons, it does count. I know it sounds weird to talk about it so often, but on these social discovery platforms like YouTube, while, I would much prefer to be on decentralized platforms, this is a great platform for discovery and then moving people over to places like Odyssey, where you can follow the link down in the description as well. That's our backup channel. If we ever, this is a promise, not a threat, if we ever get taken off YouTube again, I might just call it quits. I might just, call it a day and stay only on Odyssey and then just keep seeing you guys there because I can live stream there too. So just saying, thanks for being subscribed here, until further notice, until they do take us off the air. Hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen soon. We'll fall back to Odyssey in the future. But thanks for being here, guys. Kyle Rosa says, sounds good, Seth. Appreciate it. Appreciate that. DeFi Llama shows us that right now the total value locked on all chains. Ethereum has popped back up in its DeFi dominance by way of TVL. This is not, in my mind, the most important measure of how well chains are doing. I think that there are some other very important and very weighty measures as well. We've got Ethereum in first place, though, by way of total value locked, and then Terra, by way of total value locked, has displaced BSC in the second place. But it only has 16 protocols, guys. Let's open that up in a new tab and take a quick look. Jeremy De Jesus says in the comments, hey, if you didn't mention it, I'd probably forget to hit the like. I appreciate you saying that, man. It's a weird thing, right? Like, it's part of the game, though. Thanks for playing, guys. Thanks for playing along with me. But here we are on DeFi Llama showing the Terra or the Luna page. It's actually pulled back and it's total value locked. It was up at almost, it looks like, I don't know how much farther, no, almost $21 billion worth of value locked. And now it's back to below 16 billion, showing that it's primarily Anchor, though. Nearly 50% of that value comes from the Anchor protocol. So let's scroll down the list and see what all is here. And as far as the value locked, you got Anchor, which is a Terra exclusive. If it were not for Anchor, if we did decide like, hey, maybe we don't care about Anchor, and we threw that out of the stacked ranking, that would put it somewhere below Solana, actually, and between Solana and Phantom. We could do that. And guys, I strongly recommend that if you're looking at total value locked as a potential way to evaluate these smart chains, that you do that. You play some war games and say, what if Anchor got hacked? Or what if Anchor didn't matter? Or what if, to use a different example on Terra, what if something like Astroport or TerraSwap, what if one of these other sort of like the platform exclusives, what if it just was not there anymore? What would that do to the market dominance of this platform? And would that change the retail perception of it? Is it good enough on its own that I would just say like, I don't need that platform, or I don't need to have that protocol on that chain? And then ask yourself, right, over time. This is just a series of questions you can ask to make more informed decisions about where you'll diversify your portfolio into. Ask yourself, would I still use this network or this blockchain if it didn't have that protocol? I think that's a valuable question to ask. But 3D, are you into DeFi right now? Are you using many EVM chains or many other smart chains at the moment?
I think the only DeFi I do is on Wax.
Got it.
I was DeFiing on Ethereum, and then just got to a point where I couldn't get my stuff back out. Like, I couldn't afford to get it out. So I've been doing DeFi on Wax because they got the Alcor exchange, which allows me to DeFi Wax and EOS and a couple of other chains. And I have value locked up there. I actually, as odd as it sounds, I have a marijuana farm on Wax, and we use the weed token as a declaration of how much weed we're growing in the farm. So it's like, there's a lot of more fun stuff I can do over there because it's HTML ready. So like a lot of the stuff we do, we don't need API, we don't need this, or the APIs are open. You don't have to pay for them, and it makes it a lot easier. Man,
that's beautiful. I had no idea. So, gosh darn it. And what's funny is that Wax is not properly, I don't think it's properly listed here on DeFi Llama, or if it is, I don't think they have it listed. I think, man, that's a little bit frustrating. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back over to the other page, the other tab we have open, and see if they have it listed just as a chain independently. Because I've been saying it for months, guys. My audience has been hearing it. Like, I always give Ken Bosak a shout out when we cover some of the smart chain protocols because of Wax and how, we've witnessed him, and gosh, like I'm gonna get like teary-eyed because seriously, I'm excited for him. I'm proud of him, right? Like, I'm proud to know him and see him come up the way he has using Wax. He took something that like had almost zero fees, gasless minting, and made something from nothing, right? Like, that's awesome. It's awesome to see one of the homies make it, So yeah, like I think most people are sleeping on Wax. I think people are not really paying attention to how powerful it is as a platform. But yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't like EOS, but when I started diving into Wax, I realized, wait a minute, this doesn't even run on EOS. This is like just forked from EOS almost, not
Yeah.
completely, but almost.
Yeah. No, I think
That made a huge
actually,
difference.
yeah, I think it is actually a fork. I want to say that yeah, I want to say that it is a proper fork of EOS, but I think it changes some of the, is it that they changed the DPoS? They've changed some parameters though. Like they've changed some fundamental parameters. So because otherwise it begs the question, right? Like, well, why aren't you just a project on EOS then, right? Like, but they did do some transformative work to the blockchain when they forked it. But I think it's a significant DNA match, like, and it is properly like based on EOS. So yeah, yeah, it's not on DeFi Llama at all. Crazy. Tell you what we're going to do today, guys. We're going to move ahead pretty quickly through this. Then let me just it bears repeating for our audience that, like I mentioned before, another way to look at some of these DeFi protocols or DeFi platforms, rather, despite the dominance score that's shown right here, you can resort according to protocol support. And I'm a huge fan of looking at it that way. That stacks for that creates a stacked ranking that sorts for the number of protocols that trust a given blockchain in order to build on top of them. And I suspect that if we had something along these lines for NFT creation and brands, that Wax would stack very high on those rankings, very close to like where you see Ethereum right here. It'd be somewhere in the number 2 or maybe even number 3 spot if we had something like this, but just for NFT platforms and NFT chains. But when we look at DeFi Llama, got BSC in the number 2 spot because the degens after DeFi Summer 1.0 were looking for lower fees. And then Binance was like, oh, hey, we've got way too much money and we know some good developers. Let's basically make something that looks like Ethereum, works like Ethereum, but has lower fees than Ethereum. And they captured so many degens so fast. So time to market matters. When it comes to creating platforms and projects, and they won for that DeFi Summer 1.0, moving into, I guess, DeFi, Summer, air quotes, 1.5. Before we got to DeFi Summer 2.0, Polygon came up not too long after that, right? So we see some of this though. Here, like the history here, Polygon started with 0% of the market when BSC was still below 1%, right? And you had other platforms like Celo and Tron looking like they might take over. But it wasn't long before, again, degens realized, oh my gosh, we've got such low fees on BSC, and it was the protocol support that drove them over. That's when they popped off. See, that's 6.5 or 6, almost 6 to 10% within a couple of months, and it's only been additional market share for them from that point forward. But yeah, now I see like, with Polygon getting all that protocol support, I really do think it's just a matter of time before the TVL also pops off. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just a question of continuing to have more wallet support the way they have recently. But yeah, Polygon, I don't think should be underestimated. Same with Avalanche and Phantom for that matter. But Wax, if we could see it as a DeFi platform and not strictly speaking an NFT platform, I think people's eyes would be really opened. So yeah, that's just my take on it. But I mean, 3D, what do you think about the concept of NFTs as DeFi or being equivalent to DeFi?
In a lot of ways, they can be. For example, like when you're like earlier when we were talking about like the backs, the people in the back end are saying, okay, look, I got 7 figures, I need to move to you. How do I move to you? Yeah, just bid on this NFT, but like when you like with Wax, for example, like you can actually move your NFTs with money in it. And Ethereum, it just recently started having an Ethereum with particles, and you're going to see that more and more as we go, because you're not just now building the token that is its own NFT, and you're putting another token inside of it, and then you can send that to somebody. Like with Wax, I can actually create a link and send someone who doesn't even have a Wax wallet the NFT. And then when they're ready, they click on the link, open it up, get the wallet, get the NFT, go through and withdraw the funds from the NFT, and then boom, like it is in so many different ways, like a really great way to change how you operate your transfers.
That sounds exactly Yeah, that sounds exactly like DeFi to me. I mean, that sounds 100%. That sounds like a decentralized version of like MoneyGram or something.
Yeah, yeah. And especially since when you lock it up, like if you lock up your funds on Wax through the system they have, it takes 3 days to unlock. But if you lock it inside of an NFT, it takes either one burn or one contract call to unlock it. And it's instant. You know, you immediately have that value, that money in your wallet, and you're able to use it, you know.
Man, so I can foresee a time in the not too distant future where Wax becomes like the layer, like just like how back in the day there was like this sort of like shadow inventory of like food stamps and stuff. They became like they're like a currency in some markets where I can see like I you know I'm going old school here, right? But like, you know, back in the day, whatever, like drug deals and stuff, like using.
Like when food stamps were actual stamped cards or paper. Yeah, I used to use that as real cash, not knowing that it wasn't real cash.
Dude, and that's what I'm saying. I can see a time in the not too distant future where there's like this crossover between like the people's money and platforms like Wax, where it's like, now this is just more convenient because of the fees. Like it's portable, it's divisible, like, or it's just very, very easy to work with. And like, can you imagine right now being able to find some of those like shadow inventories where you've got like, because today it's like the Amazon gift cards. There's a huge international market for Amazon gift card arbitrage, actually. So Amazon gift cards or like other gift cards that are acquired at like 20% below cost, and then they're sold on market or they're transferred this way, and you start mixing and matching. But then you're wrapping these in NFTs on Wax. People, I don't think people really get how powerful NFTs are as a DeFi instrument. But like what you're talking about, I don't know. Having you on the show, man, you're blowing my mind. 3D. We got to have you on more often. Let me switch gears here though or shift gears for our audience here. Talking about the cost to mine one full Bitcoin. I've got an Antminer S9 loaded up as our profile, and I'm going to go to our typical residential cost for power. Your mileage may vary, guys. It's going to be a little different for you, but at 14 cents per kilowatt hour, we're looking at spending a full $55.9 thousand to create one full Bitcoin. You can't mine with the S9 at home anymore. I warned you guys about that months ago. You needed to right size your operations. You needed to move over to cheaper markets. I mentioned just going across the tracks and finding bare minimum 8 cent per kilowatt hour power. If you did that, you'd still be in the money, right? Guys, I warned you a couple months ago, right? But if you did that, you'd still be in the money with even just something as old and inefficient as a Bitmain Antminer S9. You'd still be making one full Bitcoin for, on average, $31,000. But if you really want to be in the money, you have to move even lower than that. Somewhere along the lines of 5 cents per kilowatt hour, you're only going to get that hosted. Or if you can hit up the homie Mikkel, Crypto Mikkel, who's occasionally in the chat, or you can find him over on Discord or on Twitter, you might be able to get your hosting costs even a little bit lower than that. So without advertising anything, if you got older ASIC hardware, that's the way to go. We're not going to look at any other ASIC mining hardware profiles. We are going to jump over into GPU mining, and I'm realizing we probably need to go into CPU mining profiles as well. Probably not FPGAs, but CPU mining profiles, because there are so many pieces of equipment you can use to CPU mine. I mean, 3D. I've been talking about this for months. I feel like an idiot because it's still here. Like I've got this problem of not finishing my Raspberry Pi projects. Right. I'm being really, really bad about finishing this build right here. It's meant to be a full node / other worker bee somewhere in the studio, and I haven't gotten it done. It's even got like the fancy like dual HDMI outputs and everything. I mean, this is a nice little single board computer rig, and I've just been an idiot with it. But it could totally mine Monero, right? And actually do it profitably over the costs. Right. I've got old phones lying around. I've got like smaller, like microelectronics and a couple servers lying around. And I'm thinking we should probably do a CPU mining segment as well. But I don't have a good resource for that.
You should. Like I have all these old phones mining Monero. I have all these up here mining from like Ravencoin to Monero to Bitcoin and Litecoin. Like some of them, they dual mine. And like that's another thing. Like when you got CPU, dual mining can be a huge difference in your profit.
Yeah, that makes sense. So as far as dual mining goes, now, if you're doing mobile mining, I take it then you're probably on like ARM v8 processors, maybe ARM v7 at the oldest. You've got older phones there. So you're definitely on the big little architecture where you've got your efficiency cores and you've got your performance cores. Are you looking at just like trying to get process threads running on those different core profiles?
Yeah. Basically, like when you're running like the ones with the split core, you can actually mine both coins at the exact same time and get equivalent threads on both. While if you just try to mine one, it will only get the first set of threads. It won't get all the threads. And so it's really just taking advantage of the architecture of the CPU and using it against itself.
Right. And that's awesome, man. I know, like for Monero mining, like you're saying, they in most of the guides they even tell you, like, if you've got like with x86 like desktop processors, you should really only consider the physical core count as the number of threads you're going to get. Like it really doesn't matter if you can hyperthread on any platform or like any architecture, whether it's AMD's current hyperthreading or Intel's hyperthreading. You only get the physical core count. But I didn't realize that was the case on ARM also, basically with the big little. That's cool, man.
Yeah. And it's like I got one of the small supercomputers that we used to use to mine Monero before the 2019 update. It no longer works on there. And so I've been having to find new ways to use that. And I was like, well, Ravencoin works pretty dang good on some of those old ones. But yeah. And the supercomputer I'm talking about is for the Parallella. So it's a CPU-based supercomputer. And it has the same issue where it will only run the physical threads, the physical CPU count for the threads. It will not use any of the other set. But with Ravencoin, it does really good. So sometimes when one thing doesn't work, you got to switch it up.
Nice. I'm curious, have you done any, are you doing any Varus coin mining, or are you doing any Raptorium mining? Or have you been doing any Raptorium mining? It's super difficult now.
I've played with Raptorium before, but yeah, like you said, it became super difficult, and I've kind of taken a break from there, but I haven't done the other one.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know how profitable Varus is right now either. I used to do a regular show with one of the developers, Frank, who apparently he was mining on some lower power systems and was really happy with it. But he's one of the developers too, so he got in like way early. Has a huge bag. He's plenty happy with his mining profits there. But awesome. Let me jump out of the way and take a look at the whattomine.com numbers. Going to go over to our GPUs tab and just show the stacked ranking right now, guys. Also bring that average all the way up to 14 cents per kilowatt hour. It looks like bad news, guys. I'm really sorry. It looks like even an RTX 3090 is currently showing a profit of about 420. but for a $3,000 GPU, that's not the number you want to see. Just saying, man. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, but just the second half of that word, wrecked. So yeah, like not happy with that at all, man. $3,000 purchase to get just over $4, less than a $5 per day in profit. Now, if you don't need to pay your power bills right off the bat, if you're just trying to dollar cost average in, then this could be rough. Ravenboy Crypto chimes in and says, best time to buy GPUs. If you had a question mark at the end of that, I would say the best time to buy GPUs is going to be the next leg down, not right now. I'm glad that he brings that up, though. But 3D, what do you think about that?
It's like someone bought me a laptop earlier, like the beginning of this year. It took me over 12 weeks to get it because the GPU.
Jeez.
Like they were not easy to get. GPUs were hard to get. And if you would have said like 8 months ago is the time to buy GPUs, I'd be like, yeah, sure. You still might not get it for another X number of months. But like right now, I would not say is a good time, and especially with like some of the new ones that just came out. They're not that great compared to the ones that came out a year before.
Yeah, 100% agreed. On our profit rankings too, we still see older cards like this, the GTX 1060, or the older mining edition P106 and P104, which I've been raving about for the last 3 years, man, because they're great and they never stop being profitable. Now you're starting to hear other larger channels like Son of a Tech admit that, cost to acquire, that really is the right way to go. So I feel pretty vindicated by that as well. I agree with you. If you can skip a generation or even two, if it still makes sense for mining, you're going to get a better price, no matter what market you're in. But let me jump out of the way real fast and show real time. This is us on eBay, guys. Let me scroll down here and take a look at sales that have already completed. Make sure. Oh my gosh, it always takes so long. there we go. Sold items. That was the bottom of the list, man. Why you got to be so difficult, eBay? But here's results for the RTX 3090. Nope. You know, we are seeing a couple that were sold for $2,400, but still the majority of them were at almost $3,000 still, guys. $2,850, $2,800, $2,850, $2,700. But still, some people out there buying for over $3,000, $3,300, right? Like, yeah, I don't think it's quite time yet. Yeah, Raven Boy Crypto, I appreciate you asking that question, because most people are trying to jump in right now and saying like, all right, everybody else is getting fearful, I'm going to buy. Well, cool story, bro, but you haven't gotten a discount yet. Wait until the fear actually leads to action and people start discounting, and then absolutely, man, you have at it, and you get aggressive too. Then when they start saying like, oh yeah, for that 3090, maybe I would accept $2,000. Then you start bidding like $1,200. Like, really? I'm being dead serious. Get out there and be ruthless, because this is your bottom line. So, especially if they've been mining on it, man, they're gonna try to scalp you, and you know they've already gotten their money back, right? So, yeah. But anyway, jumping out of the way, showing the stacked ranking over on whattomine.com. RTX 3090, unfortunately, price going down. Go to the very bottom of the list, guys. Biggest loser right now is that R9 380. I done warned you. Uncle Seth done told you a couple weeks ago. If you still have those R9 380s, you got to move to markets with zero cost basis for power, or you just got to move them out of your inventory. And that's got validated finally today. We're at that $0.00 profit margin, unfortunately, every single day. If you don't need to pay for power, though, you're still making 41 cents per day on Flux, and you're getting those parallel assets on Flux. So that isn't even accounted for yet. You might get what looks like 41 cents today. That might jump up in the not too distant future because of the parallel assets being paid out on other smart contract platforms. So yeah, just be aware. The oldest hardware profiles that we have here on whattomine.com for GPUs, the oldest ones, they're suffering first. Couple of exceptions here would be like the GeForce, the GTX 1050 Ti, highly efficient part, right? It's entirely bus powered. So throw that into any kind of a motherboard. You don't even have to have an upgraded power supply to run an additional cable to it. It's just going to run directly from the PCI Express bus. So very low power part, but it's still returning some profits. Jeremy De Jesus drops some info into the chat, says Vega 64s at $700? Question mark? Maybe we can take a look at that as well really, really fast, guys. We're lazy Saturday here at my house. 3D, how are you for time, man?
I'm good. Nice.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up Vega 64 here in eBay. And there we go. Bring that up live. Well, I'm seeing Frontier Edition for $800, and that's that 16 gig memory, memory amount. Oh, man, yeah, that's so evil. They put $800, but then they show two of them. Get me all feeling all greedy and all happy. But I'm saying now 64s. Oh, that's under bid. Could take a look at buy it now. Let's go again to the bottom of the list and just see what's sold and see how much it's sold for. $550. Okay. But yeah, on average over $700 or about $700. Better than it's been for a while. What? That can't be right. Yeah, parts only. Bunch of parts only pieces that have sold for a bit less, but yeah, about $700. Better than it's been for a little while, but not awesome. Yeah, I would say that's not your best deal. And again, with GPU mining, guys, you got to be really, really careful. It's very easy to push back your time to profitability by months if you purchase at the wrong price. It's just, I think in a lot of cases, it's not as worth it it's not as much worth it as you'll hear some people on YouTube say, because they're trying to shill you purchase links on Amazon. Couldn't be me. Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry. But let me jump out of the way and show you again that stacked ranking. Some of the notable coins that are in profit, though, still, even though it's decreased profit, notable coins would be like Flux, Bitcash, obviously Ethereum, Zero, Raven. And then Beam is showing up for a couple of card profiles, but not that many. And let's see what else. Ethereum Classic, Firo, Also, strong fundamental project there, guys. By way of privacy, we got to talk about that again in the near future. It is not just another Zcash or Monero clone. It is its own special zero knowledge proof system that's on Firo. In fact, it was so good that it was rolled into Beam because they liked it that much. But it's a unique privacy project there. And that's about it, guys. Not too many unusual suspects here. Zano as well is showing up on the list for LHR cards like the 3060. And then Equilibria has not gone away yet. I haven't yet done a deep dive on it because I just don't. It just like it took me off guard. I'm sure it's a strong fundamental project, but I just haven't done that deep dive yet. So apologize for that, guys. But yeah, those are the coins that are in profit. Let me know in the chat what you guys want to see by way of coins that can be added to our portfolio that are GPU mineable. But 3D, I gotta ask, man, have we gotten you GPU mining at any point?
I was GPU mining last year because someone sent me a GPU and a box. But the GPU, like, I don't know, I don't think it died. It just kind of stopped communicating with my Pi. So I've been messing with trying to figure out how to get it to work with there. And I'm looking at just changing OS from a Debian to, unfortunately, going to an Arch. I hate Arch. But that looks like that might be the way to fix it, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will be GPU mining again soon.
That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, the fact, yeah, I mean, Arch, that's the thing about Arch, right? They're and the people who support Arch and like the Arch diehards, like, I don't understand it, but I'm only running desktop distros that are based on Arch now because of that, man. The GPU support is just,
yeah, it's
just headache free. And I would rather live happy than spend those extra hours trying to make hardware work all the time. So, see, Mono Miner says in the chat, Toncoin would be cool. I think we've already added it to our smart contract side of the portfolio, but I'll take a look at that in just a minute here. Let me jump out of the way, and I apologize, I don't have the screen directly shared with you, 3D, but it is on our live stream.
I got the stream up, so I'm watching.
Nice.
Looking off to the side.
Nice. Okay, so we're over on CoinGecko, and these are public portfolios. I think I've got them publicly published. But this is our GPU mining portfolio. Shows that Flux is still on the money. And if you look at the overall portfolio profit and loss, even with some pretty big losers in this portfolio, and I mean like coins that just have like dipped by like 80% or more, we're still 50% up overall, being diversified across all these assets. But Flux, Safecoin, Equilibria, and all of these that are above, say, Wimble coin, these are all in the money, right? They're doing pretty well. Biggest winners, though, are Flux, Safecoin, and Equilibria. They're doing really, really well. Polygon is well above their acquisition price, though it is below $2. Kind of makes me sad. But, it's a bit of a bloodletting for the entire market right now, though it's down, bad, 21%. Looks like Flux is still up over the last 7 days, 10%. So it's continuing to win. And I mean, it's just been on a rocket ship lately, guys. $2.57. That's awesome. Outperformed a lot of people's expectations. But Ravencoin as well, somebody asked about it specifically, so let me call it out. It's at above 9 cents per coin, but it's only about 24% above our initial purchase in this paper trade. So we put $1,000 into this coin at the end of May, and from that time, it's gone up in value, but it hasn't gone up in value like, exponentially the way some of these other coins like Flux have. Flux did, a 16x in that same amount of time. So if you had put $1,000 into Flux at the exact same date and time as that $1,000 in Ravencoin, you'd be walking away with a cool $15,000 profit, as opposed to Ravencoin, where you'd be up, a little over $200. Not bad. I mean, not bad as investments go, but man, crypto is unreal with those multiples. Like Flux, 15 grand just for parking your dirty fiat into that coin for a few months. Yes, please. So that's GPU mining, though. Go over to hard drive mining, and we've got storage that is in the money still, but everything else is in the red. Chia is down below $100 to about $90 per coin. And I don't know what else to say, guys, other than I tried to warn you. A lot of people who are into like low energy mining or low power mining said, well, it's good, it's green. And I tried to sound the warning cry. Some people didn't want to hear it, but some other people got wrecked. So sorry, I did what I could. To try to warn people. Over here on CPU mining, though, we've got Raptorium still in the lead. And this is what I was asking before, 3D, about whether or not you've been able to get into Raptorium mining well. It's also traded a lot of the community very, very well. At that same date that we created all the other entries, Raptorium has done over a 17x and left people with about a $16,000 profit at that same $1,000 acquisition. Wownero is pretty low, which makes me sad, but it is another one of those CPU mineable coins that occasionally is so deeply into profit that when it does like randomly spike up in price, that it's like, it's this really pleasant portfolio surprise where it's like, oh, Wownero pumped. Yeah. Like, cool. I'm Wownero rich. Wow, mom. Like, anyway, just, I think it's worth mentioning. Let's see. Mono Miner is chuckling at me basically saying I tried to save a lot of Chia miners from getting wrecked. There's only so much you can do, man. We can't save everyone, unfortunately. We can keep trying. But CPU mining, that's our portfolio there. ASIC mining, guys, we've got GMT token, which is not actually ASIC mineable, so you can't really use any kind of an ASIC to acquire it, but you can be invested in other mining operations by holding it. So worth mentioning there, it's doubled in price. Everything else is only marginally above our acquisition price, though. Bitcoin back at the end of May was pretty close to where it is right now. Right, it's only 4% below where it is right now. So you're still in the money, though, if you put money in Bitcoin back at the end of May. Of course, if you acquired it by mining, you're not too worried about that initial price because you already had some profit margin on top of your costs. Same is true of like Zcash, Litecoin, anything else you see on this list. It's the beauty of mining is that you acquire things way cheaper than retail does, right? Retail is trying to go buy from like Coinbase and paying extra fees and whatever else. And if you know how to mine, you're never going to pay full price for your Bitcoin or for any of your cryptos. So it's kind of the takeaway there.
Now you gotta. I saw Latrell asked about what's the price of Ravencoin going to go after the halving. I don't think it's going to go up very much. Ravencoin doesn't have that same correlation that Bitcoin does when it halves. So
you heard it here first. Seriously, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think that 3D's got his finger on the pulse of what's really going to happen with Ravencoin. I think in a way that a lot of people don't. Let me ask you a follow-up question, 3D. What do you think about people who are saying you should try to mint NFTs on Raven?
I don't think that's a bad idea. I love Ravencoin, just like I love Turtlecoin. And there's the fact that you can do that as easy as you can on Ravencoin compared to like minting NFTs on Bitcoin. Because like I think my first NFT on Bitcoin was an ad for Tron. And it still was a pain in the ass to try to figure out. But on Ravencoin, it's like nowhere near as difficult. And I think, like, to be honest, I've been planning on doing a release of NFTs on Ravencoin just because, like, I love the technology on there. It's halfway decent. And then at the same time, like, that could be your store of value for Ravencoin is your Ravencoin NFTs. Because that NFT could keep going up in value compared to the Ravencoin going down in value.
What do you think about some of the more complex actions of NFTs, like you said before on Wax, being able to mint or being able to burn to redeem, or have some of the more slightly complex smart contract actions that most people associate with NFTs versus Ravencoin right now? Because it's one thing to be able to put an IPFS hash into the op return, and it's a different thing to be able to create a full NFT ecosystem. But what do you see happening there with Raven?
If Ravencoin was to get more contractability on there, they will see an increase in value. No joke. When Wax first rolled out NFTs, there was like 2 contracts and all you could do, and that was about it. And now there's dozens upon dozens of contracts. And one of the things that when you get those contracts in there, that option of ability that is right there on chain, that is where value is going to be seen. Because like right now, like, yeah, you're right. It's just the IPFS on OP return, but that's the most basic form of NFT. I think that's probably one of the best forms of NFT too at the same time.
Yeah. Can I interject really fast? That's how you made your NFTs on Bitcoin, right?
Yep. Okay. IPFS on OP as the OP address. And a lot of people don't realize that's all an NFT really is at the end of the day. It's using a different service on a different service to push it, But yeah, if they could get some contractability on there, they would be seeing a way the Raven coin price would just completely reverse. Maybe not overnight, but most definitely it would. And then I believe, if I remember right, Raven coin can support smart contracts.
I don't know how that works on Ravencoin right now. I don't know if that's something that's definitely built into it at the protocol level.
I, I think it's similar to smart contracts on Litecoin and Bitcoin, where it's through the node and not through the chain.
Got it. Okay.
It's been a long time since I've looked into it.
Okay, will that be like Smart BCH or like OmniLayer protocol, like a proper additional layer that already runs on like Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah, it would. Well, it's like, do you remember when people used to run websites on their Bitcoin node?
Yeah.
It would be similar to that. It would be similar to that. And so your individual, like it'd be like you would have to set up to look for that node to be able to execute the smart contract.
Got it. Okay. Wow. Very interesting, man. I for my part, I struggle. This is it's not that I have like any kind of like gripe with Ravencoin. I don't have a gripe with Ravencoin. I really don't. But I struggle to see where the value is going to come from unless there is a novel smart contract layer built. Because I see like right now, what you mentioned before, being able to put an IPFS hash on the OP return. You can do that on any UTXO system, right? You can do that on Litecoin. You can do that on Dogecoin. It's been done on Dogecoin. And realistically, the only thing that is missing to make that really, really simple is a wallet client, not the chain, right? Like, so we could build a wallet client for Dogecoin that fully replaces, feature for feature, fully replaces Ravencoin today.
Yeah. And if you were talking like that, like the first NFT on Litecoin was sold for one Litecoin like a week or two ago. And they don't have any wallet viewability for that. So they have to have a node to be able to see the NFT. And for a lot of cases, that's what it would be like for Raven coins. If you got a wallet that will support the information, then it definitely would make a change.
Yeah, and that I guess that's kind of my concern with Ravencoin is that like, okay, jump back into our overview here, where we've got Dogecoin farther down on the list at 14.7 cents. So it's not that it's like it's actually it's pretty close by way of coin value, right? So individual coin value to Ravencoin at about 9.5 cents. Not that far. The fundamental difference is in market cap, right? Like there are way more Dogecoin printed than Ravencoin right now. You got a $20 billion market cap in Dogecoin. If you needed to raise funds in the Dogecoin community to be able to create that wallet that basically replaces Ravencoin, basically, you've got more investors. You've got more money to pull from.
Way more liquidity with Dogecoin than most coins.
Yes, because they spend too, right? Like it's still cheap to transact and people are interested in using it wherever, right? And they would have been smart to do that too, to organically take profits by spending it like at the point of sale, right? Like when Dogecoin was so close to 40 cents per coin, it would have been really freaking smart to spend some, actually. Because you would have taken profits organically.
Like I pay my kids allowance in Dogecoin, and they were wanting to use their Dogecoin when it was at like 40 cents. And I was like, nope. Contract that we wrote says you can't use it till you're 21 or out of college.
That's awesome. Yeah. First off, yeah, awesome parenting.
That's what protects them.
Dude, parenting win there, by the way, guys. I congratulate you for doing that. Just saying like, all right, you're going to get paid in cryptocurrency. Do they have like view only wallets? How do they handle it?
Well, we have, I've been making paper wallets for forever. So I built paper wallets for them, and like it's a custom wallet where they just have to scan it with their phone to view their public key. Yep. And then we store their private key separately. And we have their private key in the contract that we wrote up. But we first made our own cryptocurrency to pay them in. Like it was like a weekend project with my son and me, where it's like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to make a cryptocurrency from scratch, boy. And we made a cryptocurrency, and we first started paying them like that. And that was back in 2016. I was paying a special cryptocurrency that they made. And then 2018, we decided to switch to Dogecoin and just flipped all the funds over. But yeah, it was fun to do. And they absolutely all my kids know how to mine crypto, and that's the rule. At the age 14, you get a Raspberry Pi computer. You have to learn how to mine cryptocurrency. You have to learn how to code a little bit, at least. and then you're allowed to do things that you'd want to do. Like because like I'm a druid, so at the age of 14, you're supposed to have a proof of knowledge. Like in the traditional druid way, you would go kill an animal, skin it, and feed the whole village. So we're kind of doing the same thing, but with crypto.
That's awesome, man. No, I definitely appreciate that. I'm going to be pretty sure I'm taking some of these lessons away from today's live stream back to the kiddos. That's awesome. Very, very admirable. Huge parenting win there. So let me jump back into our market chat though, guys. I don't want to go too much longer on our live stream than about the next 10 minutes. So cover some markets here, and then I think 3D now we'll probably spend a little bit of time off stream just catching up. But I've got on our current ASIC mineable lineup. Biggest loser right now is Pirate Chain at about 89 cents. It's not back to its all-time low by way of value buy territory, but it is 80% down from when we first put it in the portfolio. I don't know that 80% is like the magic number. It could always dip lower. So just be aware of that. Like as soon as you think that like, oh yeah, we've definitely found support for this crypto. Nope. Prepare yourself, right? Plug your nose because you're going to go further underwater. So yeah, just be aware of that. But moving on from the ASIC mining portfolio over to our FPGA mining portfolio. Cardano, of course, is our number one spot there. Still doing great, but it is in a downward channel. So it is, yeah. Speaking of like, hold your nose. Yeah, we could keep dipping with Cardano too, even though it's got that strong fundamental basis, right, for having it in the portfolio, but it's still gone 30% down in a week, guys. And could it go another 30% down in another week? Absolutely, it could. Mm-hmm. Like when we get into markets like this, there tends to be sort of like a flight to harder currencies or a flight to more stable coins or strong fundamental coins. Like 3D, you were talking about how you keep Bitcoin in your savings. I think a lot of people who are crypto natives, they view it that way. So while you might have mined something else, right now, when you see the potential for losing value in one of your other coins, it's a pretty deeply ingrained behavior to just say like, well, this is losing value. If it's losing Satoshi value right now too, then I'm gonna bail out and dump some of these coins over into Bitcoin, where I'm not worried about just like keeping it in savings there. Have you seen that a lot with a lot of some of our mutuals?
I think I see that more with older people that in the space. The newer people, most newer people in the space don't even consider Bitcoin a coin. They're like, what Bitcoin? What?
Right.
They just see the hype game.
Yeah.
But it's like I use Litecoin for spending, Bitcoin for saving all day.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that proposed Dogecoin NFT wallet later on. Might be a project, guys. Let me know in the chat if you petition 3D here. If you want to see it, maybe we can start doing a little petition, little crowd fund here to make that happen, just for kicks, just to push the state of the art. Not because I've got anything against Ravencoin, but because I want to see them actually develop something that goes beyond what they have so far. But yeah, let me know if you're interested in that. Maybe we can put together a petition to start getting something built that lights a fire under Ravencoin.
I'm definitely ready to do something like that. Like Private Paper has NFTs, so why the heck not?
Right? Yeah, dude. Let's move down our list on FPGAs, guys. Cadena is still in the number one spot in the money. 0x Bitcoin still somehow magically in the money after that jump up. It's still kind of like swinging back and forth there. And hey, Ravenboy Crypto says, I want in on helping develop it. I need more experience. 3D, you got something better than money. You got somebody else willing to give you their time. So it's already happening.
Ravenboy Crypto, hit me up on Twitter so I can at least get you in my Telegram, __3D____.
Yeah, it's well, I'll have links to this as well in the description of the video to both Trek and to 3D. Let's see the rest of our FPGA lineup. Everything else is underwater, guys. Digibyte is the biggest loser. Kind of sad to see because Digibyte is one of those legacy projects that a lot of people had high hopes for, and they completely astroturfed crypto Twitter with GIFs. So like their meme game was strong, but they did not weather the storm. It's kind of sad to see. Moving from FPGAs, guys, to smart contracts. Really, really fast. Want to take a look at our smart contract portfolio. Terra is still in the number one spot, though it is down bad. Over the last week, it's dipped by 26%, but it's still ahead of the rest of the smart contract pack. Phantom is down also. It's got a much stronger dip over the last 24 hours. So hope you guys are staying safe there. Anonymous Miners in the chat says, hello, good sir. Hope you are well today. Thank you. Appreciate that. Latrell is hitting up Raven Boy Crypto about programming languages there, guys. Do throw them up. If you know some, let us know in the chat. Let's make it an entire live stream event. Let us know, what languages do you guys know? What programming languages do you guys use? But in our smart contract lineup, Avalanche, Solana, Harmony, and then Wax. There you go. Wax is no longer in the top 5, but it's still really, really close. It's still 40 cents per coin. And look at that. It found resistance, or rather it found support faster than a lot of the other coins did. You got stuff like Phantom that is falling off a cliff right now, like totally falling off. But Wax showing pretty good resilience, pretty good strength. It's kind of cool. Cosmos, it has retraced from over $40. Makes me kind of sad, and it is plummeting right now. A lot like Phantom. I think there were a few people who were interested in Cosmos and Phantom, and they're just like they're really getting hurt right now. I feel kind of bad. I mentioned that as well, that those might not be bad bets right now. Cosmos, I still have a strong belief in terms of the IBC, and really take a look at our biggest loser here on the side of the portfolio. Internet Computer and Neo. I'm still surprised by people who say they want to build on these. EOS as well, not doing particularly well. Somebody who asked about Toncoin, right, or Tokamak Network. It's there, but it's really low based on portfolio performance, and I don't really know who's going to build on it. I've got a little bit of a concern with it being a coordinating layer across so many other smart contract layers. I don't know that we need more middlemen when it comes to smart contract systems. I think we need better bridges that are more permissionless and more fault tolerant, but I don't think we need more coordinating layers per se. Let me move over to our junk drawer, but while I do that, 3D, let me ask you, what are your thoughts on Cosmos and IBC? Are you particularly well read on those? Are you deep into those yet?
I can't say a whole lot about Cosmos, but I am in there, and I say that because that would be, I can't always talk about projects I'm working on. And then, like the other one, I don't know anything about it. IDB or whatever. I've never even heard of it before.
Got it. Okay, so IBC is the interblockchain communication protocol that Cosmos uses for all of the daughter projects. So things like SIFT things like Persistence, things like Akash Network or Secret Network, things like Handshake, and a few others that are they're related to Cosmos. They kind of fork the Cosmos code base, but then or based on Cosmos, but then they have an interblockchain communication link that much more seamlessly bridges the various different assets across those chains. So that's what I'm excited about with Cosmos, is the fact that they all have this like short sort of shared communication layer. So it isn't the same problem that you have between like EVM chains like BSC and Polygon and Ethereum, where it kind of works, but occasionally they kind of break, right? You can have problems with bridging. Cosmos has that built in at the protocol level.
Okay. I didn't realize that's what it's IBC. That's what it stood for. I work with that more often than I like to admit. And that system is really, really well put together, because you're right, it does work better than all the other bridges I've ever used. Like when I had bridged an Ethereum, a Wax NFT to Ethereum, because I'd made one for someone, I wanted to send it to them. They only accepted Ethereum. It took me like 8 tries before it finally bridged over to Ethereum, and I was able to send it to the person. But when I work with Cosmos on stuff, when I do my stuff there, I don't think I've ever had an issue getting stuff moved around the way, just like what I'm describing here, moving one thing from one chain to another.
Yeah, awesome, man. I think that's the experience that most people have once they work with Cosmos, once they've even just like used any tokens on Cosmos, is they start to say like, oh my gosh, that felt about as fast as Solana and about as simple to use as Ethereum or anything else. And there are more chains with different projects that are unique with different address schemes to choose from. And then the wallets are just as secure, right? As far as using a private signing device and stuff. I've come to really like Kepler Wallet just as much as MetaMask anyway. which is, I don't know if that's really saying the bar is kind of low there, I guess. MetaMask is not perfect, but it's, it's not bad. But Kepler is, very, very similar. But let me jump out of the way here, show our last side of the portfolio. It's the junk drawer. I call it that because you just have like everything shoved in there. Very top of the list, guys, is Saitama Inu. Meme coins, I guess, still for the way. It's crazy how it's still like not just falling off a cliff from that massive run up that it had. It's bouncing downward in kind of a correlation to some other assets. But here it is. If you had put $1,000 in Saitama Inu back the end of May, you'd still have $1.4 million profit. It just seems too good to be true. You know what I mean? But there it is, and it's liquid. So it's kind of crazy. But that's why we had to make this side of the portfolios, that it's like, wow, moonshots. They occasionally work. Like, I don't know who would have known, but like, if you had this in your portfolio, you'd be very happy right now. Floki Inu still printing over $58,000 profit. UFO Gaming, $19,000 profit. Luffy over $12,000. Dogelon on Mars, $6,000. Zio Network 4, and then Hex, right? The sort of like forever pumpamental coin. I was on a Hex live stream last night. They it was interesting. You guys should go check it out. Very, very interesting. But you'd still be looking at only about $3,400 profit. We've been able to GPU mine stuff in this portfolio that has outperformed that by 4 times as much. So just, whatever. Not over a year, but in the last few months since we created that portfolio. Looks like biggest losers, guys, are still Bone Quick and Dragon's Quick. They've dipped along with a lot of the other coins. It's pretty strong correlation, I think, between a lot of these and Bitcoin. So let me just quickly jump back over to our ASIC mineable portfolio and show off Bitcoin there. Where, Bitcoin, that chart kind of bouncing downward, especially the most recent drop down. Guys, when Bitcoin sneezes, the rest of the cryptocurrency market catches a cold. Every time. Right? Right? It's like, oh, what are we doing this Bitcoin? Are we all like gonna like show signs of like poor health? Do we die now? Is it our turn to, is it over? Yeah. Everybody looks to Bitcoin. Every one of the assets looks to Bitcoin for whatever's going to happen next. Yeah, guys, that's our full portfolio breakdown. 3D, I think I'm actually going to call it a show. I know that I dragged you into the portfolio talk pretty strongly here. Do you have any picks that you think we should add to this? Like, what coins did we not have in this portfolio? Do you think we definitely should?
I don't think you have you're missing any good coins. Like, you've got all the good ones. I'm surprised you're not showing hash rates. I'm surprised you don't go look at hash rates, because a lot of times if the coin is down but the hash rate drop, that's a perfect time to start mining it.
Yeah, no, fair point. I think so. Sometimes we do look up mining pool stats.stream. We just don't always look it up, because sometimes it's not as correlated to price as you might think. But yeah, we can look that up. Now that you mention it, we could correlate that. Maybe we'll do that in the not too distant future here, guys. I think for right now, though, I do need to call it a day. My family's like, hey, we should go spend time with us. I should probably go talk to them about like what the druid ways, man. And the youngest would be like, all right, got so many weeks till you're age 14. We got to get you working on that Raspberry Pi, kid. But
that's definitely something for them to learn.
But it's not like I have an excuse. I've got one literally lying around. It's like pre-built for them. I put the heat sinks on and everything. So I think I've even got like Raspbian on an SD card already sitting in it. So it's not like it's going to. Yeah,
well, I always did that too. I set it up for them, get their Raspbian on there. And so all they had to do was just plug and play. But then when it comes time to like doing the mining and that's when you really got to sit with them and push them and say, okay, you can't just, stop. You got to keep going and you got to try. And then like one of the ways I taught them to code, Minecraft on the Raspberry Pi has that self-coding to get the extra features thing. And my son, he loves Minecraft, and he was looking on there. He's like, wait, there's Minecraft on here, but it's 1.0. It's like, well, if you want the higher end Minecraft, you got to code it. And I think he's at like 1.14 or 1.13 right now. But, so he's still learning how to code, but he's got a lot more Minecraft functionality now, a lot more knowledge of how that stuff works without even realizing it. He's just like, I want to be able to do more in my game.
Man, that's awesome. Well, I think I need to call it right there. That is super, super cool. We need to do more hangout sessions where we just kind of talk about like a couple of other specific rabbit hole topics. Like before today's stream, we were talking about privacy and security, InfoSec. So I think we should do another one of these really, really soon. 3D. I appreciate you being here for this live stream, though. I'm going to minimize your video real fast and roll my outro. But before I do, I want to know, what do you have to share with the Mind Your Biz audience before I let you go?
Try Private Paper today. privatepaper.app/write and do something different.
Awesome, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you being here. Definitely appreciate you sharing with the audience. Wealth of knowledge. And I look forward to your NFT getting a lot of love and support from the Mind Your Biz community. Guys, that's it for today's show. Let me just remind you that you're the reason that I make this media. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Be sure to check out mineyour.biz, where you can sign up for our email newsletter, where we're still ramping up content, but you will occasionally receive specials for flash sales and all kinds of other deals that we have going on the site. You can also check out our services page, where we offer consulting to projects that need it. You can pick up the Freedom Phone, which respects your privacy. You can pay for it in crypto and have it shipped to you anonymously, as well as getting merchandise that also is paid for with crypto. That's right, we practice what we preach, including, well, a Flux swag page. That's right. It's a dedicated page just for the team over at Flux Network, because we love them that much. Thanks for watching to the end. Thanks for being subscribed. You know I love your face. Be sure to stay private and mind your biz.